kid, and like I said, when I was flipping through channels, I thought it was real, and that's why I didn't like it. When I found out it was fake, quote unquote, that's when I started liking it. So, yeah, I knew they weren't really fighting. You know, you punch a guy in the face, he's going to have a bruise.
We said that you've been wrestling for 15 years. And how serious... Do you want to continue wrestling? Or do you want to do 15 more years? Assuming your body can handle it. I know your neck and knee are not...
It can't handle it, but I'd like to.
What level do you see yourself... Do you see yourself going any farther?
Not at all.
Did you ever have dreams or aspirations of going farther?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever think you were going to make it in the bigs?
When I was younger, I wanted to, of course.
Right.
That was the dream that everybody starts out in. I want to be in the WWF. But, like I said, I've never had the willpower to get in the gym, and a lot of guys give me shit for not getting in the kind of shape. Cody used to tell me that if I'd have gotten in the gym, I'd look like Luger because of my frame.
Right.
And stuff like that, but
And the mullet at the time.
Yeah, I did have a sweet, sweet 80s mullet. But I've never had the willpower to train and get in shape, and that's why I'll never be on par with any of... Like, if they told me, hey, we want to sign you to TNA today, you're going to be in the next division, I'd say, I can't hang with those guys. I'd get in there and AJ Styles would kill me.
Right.
I'd be blown up in 4 minutes. Now, I like wrestling at this level just because guys are going to watch this and go, that fucking right. I'm a hobby wrestler. I do it because I enjoy it,
Right.
We're getting $20, $40, $60 a shot. That's not going to pay your bills. You got to have a real job. And like with my neck, and there's no way I could ever make it to that level. But I do it. There's fans that come up and get your autograph, and they love you, and they follow you from this show to that show, and that's that's the reason I do it.
Right.
That and because I like doing it.
So you don't see yourself going any farther. Do you have? I mean, you don't think so? It's not something you don't see yourself. You just don't want to at this point. You're content where you are. Okay. Now, when you were with Savage and Cody, did they help get you your first booking as far as being part of a show in front of real people?
As I remember it, they were the only way we got booked for the first probably 5 years or so. I mean, it was a long time. It was me and Dwayne riding in a car with Chris and Steve everywhere. Yeah, anywhere they got booked, they got us on. Of course, we wrestled for nothing. We put the ring up.
Right.
So.
What was your first match?
My first in-ring performance was actually a battle royal. I don't consider that my first match.
I'm talking like first tag or one-on-one where it was you.
That came right after. Right before I turned 17, I wrestled for a guy named Gerald. Chris and Steve wrestled for Gerald, so we kind of tagged along.
Sure. And
they threw us in a battle royal. It was at a minimum security prison. So you can imagine what that was like, setting the ring up in front of all the convicts walking around in the yard. Nice ass.
Right.
But
on the mullet,
And I had a nice mullet. But it was in a minimum security prison. It was in a battle royal, and that was it was before I turned 18. And then right after I turned 18, I wrestled in the Italian American Club, and I don't remember who was running it. It was in here in Pensacola. I think it was Chris and Steve were running it. I think they were trying their hand at running shows, and they ran a few months at the Italian American Club. It's just a little building. I couldn't tell you where it is.
And were they just doing spot shows? And by spot shows, I mean something that was just once every few months to have one big show.
I think it was monthly, and they did it like maybe 3 or 4 times in a row.
Okay. So
and I wrestled Dwayne in the first match. He was the Phantom, and I was just Jerry Reiner because we really hadn't come up with gimmicks or anything back then.
Right. And
it was horrible. And I will not show anybody that tape.
I'm sure you got it somewhere.
I do, but you won't see it.
I'm sure we can find it.
You can try.
Right.
But, and I was wearing some spandex that I bought off the rack with little skulls on the side, and tennis shoes, and like knee pads pulled down to look like kick pads. It was terrible.
Really?
And we worked the wrong side for half the match.
Awesome.
I think one big clothesline Dwayne hit me with was the only good thing in the whole match. Oh, and going in the ring, I came out with my entrance, and I was pumped, and I had family in the crowd. And I went to spring over the rope and tripped and fell on my face. Nice. And popped back up. I felt terrible.
Very
oh my
good.
God.
Wow.
I think Arn Anderson's mother-in-law was in the crowd.
Really?
And that was a big deal for me. Because my art teacher at the time, Mrs. Kramerich, I think her name was. God, I can't believe I remembered that. She was... How the hell were they related? Anyway, she knew Arn Anderson's mother-in-law.
Okay.
And she said, "Hey, one of my students is wrestling. You should go down there." And then
Nice.
I went to school after that, and Miss Kramer said, "Yeah, heard you did great in your wrestling match, tripping over the rope." I was like, "Oh my god."
You mentioned, and this is something we can touch on a little later, that you had tennis shoes and just off the rack. How important are boots, tights, and formal training as far as what you've seen in the 15 years, as far as getting booked and continuing to get bookings, and not just like, oh, I know this guy, I ride with this guy, so I'm going to get booked, but I'm talking honest to goodness. That guy looks good. I think people want to pay to see him. How important is it? Can somebody have a raw natural talent and not look the part? Is basically what I'm asking.
And get booked? Yeah, nowadays.
Nowadays?
Yeah.
So you don't
even back then, apparently, because I got booked.
But you're saying you got booked because of who you rode with.
Right, exactly.
So if a kid showed up...
If you don't know anybody and you just show up and say, "Hey, book me for a show," and you don't have any gear, probably not.
Probably not.
Unless it's, somebody who regularly books those kind of wrestlers.
Okay.
But, I mean, kids, if you're watching this, and I don't know who's going to buy this fucking thing, but if you're watching this, get boots and tights, because it looks a lot better.
And formal training.
Well...
And say it in formal.
Yeah, and formal training.
Right.
Get that first before you go to High Spots and buy the boots and tights.
Now, formal training, of course, is going to make the match look good. It's going to make it run smooth.
Right.
And it's also going to protect you and the guy you're working.
Right.
Scary moments, serious injuries, something that you thought you probably were not going to live through, or something that maybe is potentially career-ending for you. Any serious injuries? Off
the top of my head, my first one, I think, was when I was wrestling Chris Cody. And our finish, it was in Fulton, Alabama, at a little Boys and Girls Club, I think. And it was for a company called All Pro Wrestling, not Robert Gibson's, but a different one. And our finish was, I go for a tombstone, kick, kick, kick. He bridges up, puts me up, and tombstones me, and that's the finish. When he bridged up and had me, my head, Chris Cody's a short guy, I'm a tall guy. My head was about that far below his knees, and he killed me. Stinger, right on my head.
Really?
I thought I was dead. I don't know how I got out of the ring. I know it was a babyface match, so I shook his hand afterwards. They had a couch in a little room off to the side of where the wrestling was, and I just laid on that couch, and I was like, do I really want to do this anymore?
Now, how far into your career? How long have you been doing it at that point?
I want to say 2 or 3 years, but like I said, I'm bad with dates.
Sure. Anything else? Any other injuries?
Obviously, the ACL thing at PWA, September 2001, right after September 11th.
Yeah, you're not good with dates. September 11th.
Yeah, right after September 11th. Well, I remember because it was...
It
was right after they flew the fucking planes into the buildings. You tend to remember that. But, let's see. The next week, I wrestled Chad Cheatham and hurt my wrist or arm doing a frog splash. But it was just like a nagging injury, and I told Bobby Dahl ran PWA. We were running at the Carousel weekly, doing TV tapings. And I said, "Bob, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. I think I need to let my arm heal for a couple weeks." And he said, "No problem." So the next week came along, and of course I wanted to work. And I was like, "If my arm feels okay, can you throw me on?" And he's like, "Yes, Satanico's here, so we'll throw y'all on first."
So the guy from...
El Satanico.
El Satanico, Mississippi. Okay.
And we worked out our match, went out there first match. Almost exactly a minute into the match, I come off with a double axe handle from the apron to the floor, which is only about that far, go figure, and blew my knee out and started screaming like a little girl.
So you just went for the double axe handle to El Satanico and just landed wrong.
I landed on my feet. I landed flat-footed with my knees the wrong way. The guy that was doing my rehab explained what I did because I showed him the tape. He got a kick out of that. But, 1 minute in the match, I blew my ACL out. And
how did you finish the match?
Well, I got counted out. No, I didn't finish.
You didn't go back?
Yeah, everybody says, a real man fucking finishes his match no matter what. I couldn't walk.